Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me tonight on another episode of Relax Well with Dr. Dietrich. And of course, I'm Dr. Dietrich. You can join me here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for wonderful topics concerning relaxation, stress reduction, different health topics, just to better enrich your life. But y'all, tonight I have a very, very special guest here tonight. So please tag folks to come on in and watch, share this live stream. And of course, if you're watching this on the replay, that's okay. Just put hashtag replay in the comments when you do so that I can know that you were here, okay? So I want to introduce my special guest, Dr. Yashoda. She is new to my platform, and I'm very happy to have you here. And she's going to be talking about how you can change your relationship with money and how you view it. I mean, that's amazing. Okay. Money can be a very big stressor. Um, it's the number one stressor, according to many sources that I looked up. And by the way, work is the number second big cause of stressor. And, going back to that, money is a big stressor. And it just seems like we think about it all the time. It's always in our mind chatter, bills, credit card debt, rent, vacation, all that kind of stuff. And it just seems like, all of us, we just never have enough of it and we worry about it all the time, and, full disclosure, me, yes, I'm a doctor. Yes, I make a good living, but it always seems like it's not enough for what I need to do and what I need to get done. And so I'm very, very happy to have her here on the platform so she can educate us as well as, get us to thinking more about it so we can change our mindset on how we view money. I know personally I need to have that change. So without further ado, thank you very much, Dr. Yashoda. Thanks for joining us on Relax Well. And hello.
Hi, Dr. Dietrich. Thank you for
Hi.
having me on your show. It's so good
Oh,
to be here with you.
yeah, I'm just so happy to have you here because you're a new face to my platform and everybody gets to see you. I want to see if anybody's joining us. I see Kasali. Thank you very much. I see Estella. Hey. And I see Susie. So y'all go ahead and tag some folks to come on in and ask your questions as well. So again, thank you. Um, please just do a introduction of yourself and tell us how you became a certified money coach and a life coach. But before that, please tell us what you like to do to relax. In the tradition of my show, I love my guests to let us know what they like to do to relax. I know you're in a special location, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you again for having me on your show, Dr. Dietrich. So yes, you hit it on you hit the nail on the head. I live in Hawaii. We've lived here about 3 years, and
Amazing.
where better than Hawaii to relax, right? I do feel a little guilt sometimes, even starting with that, because I know how tough, especially this last year, has been on everybody. And here in Hawaii, we have actually been fairly lucky. We didn't have very high numbers, for COVID, because
Okay.
they took some good precautions. But yeah, my favorite way to relax and de-stress is being on the beach for sure. I'm not much of a swimmer actually, or
Oh,
surfer or anything like that, but just being on the sand, walking bare feet on the sand, dipping my toes in the water. Is there's just something about salt and sea and the fresh air that it literally just turns my parasympathetic nervous system up to the roof,
I love that
as you
medical
can
term.
imagine. Yes.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, if you ask me, hands down, I don't know if it has something to do with me being a Pisces, but I feel when it's all said and done, my forever home, whatever you want to call it, I really want it to be on the water. I just feel ultimate calm and ultimate at peace when I'm on the water, looking at the water, in the water. I just love it. So for me, you're in an ideal situation, an ideal place, and that's great. And Hawaii is already beautiful. So that's really great. Let me say hi to a couple more people before you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what brought you to this part in your life. So I said hi to Susie. I see Katrina's joining. Marsha, thank you very much. And Dr. Kalani, thank you. Okay, so Doc, go ahead and tell us about, what brought you here. What's your story? And how are you helping folks out in the world?
Yeah. So, Dr. Draytek, I actually was born and raised in India to a very normal middle class family and went to medical school in India. And then there was an unexpected twist in my story where I met my husband. Actually, it was an arranged marriage, and he was living in the
Oh,
US at that time. And I will tell, I mean, most people need to know an arranged marriage is not a forced marriage. We were allowed to meet and talk before we said yes. So it wasn't traditional dating, but definitely worked out for us. So that really changed my life trajectory. And like I said, since he was in the U.S., we moved here, and we've lived in other places in the world. But I did my residency actually in El Paso, Texas. I think we connected over
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I moved to the state of Washington to work as internal medicine, a consultative internist and hospitalist for a very large organization, very similar to Kaiser. And so I
Hmm.
did that for 16 years. And, there were a lot of parts of the job that I really enjoyed, but just like a lot of unfortunate issues happening now in medicine, I went through my own burnout. And I realize looking back that I stayed on in the job way longer than I probably should have because I had an unconscious fear of not having enough money to walk away. And that was because I had not done my own money work, like many of us. I had no idea how much we had. It sounds crazy to say that now. I had no idea how much does one even need to be okay and, walk away, or maybe not even necessarily walk away, but maybe change, right? Like when we have enough money, it can give you a sense of security and gives you an
Hmm.
option, it gives you more options than what you would have. So I was the classic victim of what I now call the golden handcuffs. I was a primary breadwinner in my family. I had two sons who are both now, adults, but at that time they were dependent on us, right? So it was really hard, going through that where you feel trapped, right? You feel like you don't have any options, and that was a really horrible and really tough time in my life. So
And I'm sure
so
it's
we were
stressful.
actually. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm sure it's stressful as well.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, the amount of stress, the job itself obviously carries a lot of stress, but on top of that, certainly not understanding how finances work was very stressful. My
Hmm.
husband managed our money and he's really good at it, thank God. But
Hmm.
but I didn't really understand how things worked, and I had to do my own work. And we went to a
Hmm.
financial advisor. I still remember this so clearly. And he said, you guys, you're okay. You'll be okay if you can lead a reasonably simple life. You can actually walk away from your job. And I was shocked because that was so far from what I thought his answer was going to be. I thought he was going to say, oh, you're going to have to work at least another 10 years, right? Like, what are you thinking?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I realized that I couldn't believe him either. As much as I love my husband, it was just, at some level I couldn't trust these people, right? Because it was more of a feeling than even though I looked at the numbers and it was telling me, right, the charts were telling me that I could walk away, but I couldn't feel it. So that's when I just started learning about it. I started learning about the financial independence movement. I learned about investments, all of this stuff. And I finally, when I believed it myself, after I had done my own inner money work, then I could walk away. And that's when I retired and moved to Hawaii, like I said, 3 years ago, and I was 52. So that's a little bit of my background there about my own sort of money trajectory, if you will.
That's amazing. So, but what made you say, "Oh, I want to help other people," you know, get a better grasp of money? I understand you don't give financial advice as far as like what to invest in and all that stuff, but what
Yeah,
made you say, "Oh, I really want to help people," change the way they look at money and not have
yeah,
such a hold on them? What
yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So last year with the pandemic, I was actually doing a bunch of telemedicine, and I was on a bunch of Facebook groups amongst physicians because that was the only way I could keep a pulse on what was going on with COVID. And what I realized was there was a lot of anxiety and financial stress, even among doctors, right? We are, some of the highest paid profession. And it came to me as a shock almost because, doctors were getting furloughed. They had to take pay cuts. Because electives were not happening. And it was such a crazy time. And I saw so much really, I saw a lot of anxiety, and I thought to myself, well, that's crazy. Like, if even the high earning income people are feeling that amount of stress and anxiety, what about the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, let's say, right? And so at that time is when coaching came into my life, and I was already in the process of getting a certification. I had joined a life coaching certification program because I really believe in the power of coaching. And I realized that, and also I was also preparing for my lifestyle medicine boards at the same time. I've been sort of passionate about lifestyle medicine for about 3.5, like close to 4 years now. And
Mm-hmm.
we talk about the 6 pillars of wellness, or lifestyle pillars, right? Diet, exercise, sleep, stress reduction, avoid harmful substances, and social connection. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, but there's a 7th pillar missing, and that's financial wellness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can tell our patients till the cows come home to eat healthy, to exercise, to sleep better and decrease their stress. But honestly, if money is the first thing you worry about, and money makes it difficult to eat healthy, and money makes it difficult for you to even find time to exercise because you're trying to balance 2 or 3 jobs and have all these kids to feed, then we haven't hit the bedrock. And so I started in doing my own research, and with the view of what I went through right in the beginning with my own money story, I was like, this is crazy. I mean, as physicians, I don't ever recall asking a patient, can you afford the medications I'm writing for you, right? And we never
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation about finances. Like, we'll talk to them about their sexual history, but we never get a financial history. And I thought, this is crazy. This is such a big part of, it's food, clothing, shelter, right? Is that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And money
Mm-hmm.
is right there, because honestly, in the current day, we can have food, clothing, and shelter without money. See?
Mm-hmm.
So I realized this is something that I need to delve
Big.
into.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's very taboo. A lot of us don't we don't talk about money. We don't grow up in a family that talks about money. And a part of me, the one thing I loved about medicine is the psychology, the human mind, right? How our brains work. And so I was like, there's a lot of information out there about where to invest, how to track, how to get out of debt. I mean, with Google, if any of those things, you can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, the primary reason people are not able to achieve the kind of financial life they want is behavior. It's about the psychology of money, right? Dave Ramsey says it really well. He says 80% is behavior and 20% is knowledge. So
Wow.
it's not for lack of knowledge, although it can seem complicated. How do you manage your money? And some of my clients are just frozen because they're like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to put it in the savings account and forget about it, right? But it starts with behavior. It starts with money mindset. And so that's where I found this program that really deals with how do you take your client from where they are, I say financially innocent, because that was me, I was like ostrich buried, with my head buried in the sand,
Mm-hmm.
to becoming financially savvy. And the way we do it, the way my program works, is we really start, it's like unearthing what's going on in your subconscious. Where did you develop the ideas you have about money, right? We first start with that. It's very much like medicine, Dr. Dietrich. We start with the history and physical. We don't just run to assessment and plan, right? We start with
Mm-hmm.
digging deep, finding out what's going on, where are you at, what could be preventing, what are some of the money blocks that you're having, and then we start working on how are you going to change that so that then you can do the external work around money. So it's fascinating. I just love this whole topic.
So what do you normally do when a person comes in or talks to you? You know, I have bills to pay. I live paycheck to paycheck and whatnot. How do you like? I guess get in there and break the ice to really get them to think about their money behavior. So is money behavior like we eat out too much? We need to stop eating out so much, or is it just trying to form a new habit, or kind of what does that really entail, like your mindset around money and your
Yeah,
behavior? Uh-huh.
great question.
Mhm.
So, if they're in an emergency situation, right? If they're close to declaring bankruptcy, or if
Uh-huh.
they're like, I literally have like $0 in the bank, obviously I'm not skilled or qualified to help them in that situation. So I basically tell them, give them resources, like you need to go to your local, you need to go to local resources and see what they can to offer you. I mean, we live in a country where you can collect unemployment. I mean, or apply for food stamps or whatever, right? Like, so the first thing is to make sure, it's so similar to medicine. If I go down to the ER and somebody's having a massive stroke, I'm not going to be talking to them about why their cholesterol is not under
Yeah,
control.
exactly.
Right? We start with,
Exactly.
let's get the specialist on board and get your heart
Right,
attack or your stroke taken care of, right?
right,
And then once you stabilize, then we can start working on some of the lifestyle aspects of how did you even get here? And
right.
how do we prevent you from being back in this situation again? Did that answer your
That's
question?
that's a great analogy, because you're totally right. You want me, talking about now, why is your cholesterol like that when you're actually having an acute event? So the first thing they would need to do is just contact like local resources if they're in an acute situation, a acute financial situation. But then after things have been taken care of, as far as like, they have something to eat, things are kind of stable that way. That's where you come in, right? And just kind
Exactly.
of, okay. So is it like a course that you offer, or is it just like individual coaching, or do you go back to like, maybe when you were growing up, you all never talked about money, and then you never learned how to budget your money? Do you like go back to the beginning to see, this is what happened as far as where you develop your views about money?
Yeah, all great questions. So
Mm.
yeah, so I do offer the coaching, but I've done it both one-on-one as well as I do them in groups. Everybody's different, so their preferences are different. One of the things that comes up when we talk about money is almost everybody, including myself, has a little bit of shame, maybe a little bit of guilt, and some embarrassment, right? We have this expectation. We're adults. Of course, we're supposed to know how to handle money. And so the first thing I do is tell everybody that, listen, I don't think there's a single human being on this earth, including Warren Buffett, who hasn't made a money mistake.
Mhm.
So the first thing is to make it okay. The first thing is to admit and accept that we are all human. We've all made mistakes, and it's never too late to just get started. So that's really the very first thing. We talk a lot about gratitude. We talk a lot about forgiveness. It's a very sort of holistic way of looking at it. And Dr. Dietrich, I also happen to be a certified meditation instructor. So there's a lot of stress
Oh.
relaxation techniques that are woven throughout the program. Because every time we're peeling another layer of the onion, another layer, another skin of the onion, emotions well up, because we develop a lot of our subconscious patterning around money behaviors during our childhood.
Oh.
I compare it to driving, right? When I was teaching my 16, 17-year-old or 15-year-old to drive, I would be like, hey, you didn't stop at that stop sign. And he'd be like, but you never did, So so the way we absorb messages around money is in our childhood, like maybe when we are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, we're picking up, are our parents anxious about money? Are they having fights about money? What are they thinking? They might not tell you that, and sometimes they do. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is a root of all evil. Rich people
Mhm,
are bad. They might actually say things like that. But a lot of times it's also, you can pick up on the stress in the family, right? If
mhm,
your father just lost his job or whatever. So it starts there. And so we really do go back there. We go back to see where and how you developed whatever your behaviors in adulthood are. And so my program, I'm offering it now as a 12-week coaching program. It is
mhm,
not one of these DIY type of, I just cannot see how this course can be a DIY. There's so many courses out there. So we start with that, and we're, like I said, we peel the layers little by little, and then we get to, I use this thing called a money archetype. That's what's my training.
mhm.
8 archetypes, and anybody who's watching can actually go to my website and you can actually take the free quiz. It's just a bunch of words that you just check. It's 60 seconds. and you'll get the results, and you'll actually get an explanation of the 8 archetypes. And I'll just tell you very quickly what they are. They're innocent, tyrant, victim, martyr, warrior, magician, fool, and I'm forgetting the 8th one. But you get
Wow.
the idea. You get the idea. So it's a way of, it's again like checking your cholesterol levels before you start a statin, a lot of it. And so I have them take that quiz, and some of them might not need money coaching, to be honest with you. And still people will want to sign up because they feel like they have more work to do, right? So you might have a great looking quiz, but sometimes that's because you've hidden some of the stuff within you, right? The things that we don't want to face.
Mhm.
It's really interesting is we suppress them. So anyway, so that's what the 12-week coaching program is. And like I said, I do it one-on-one, and I do it as groups. My groups are never more than 6, maybe 8 at the very most. And they're usually like 2-hour sessions. I give access to people. All the exercises now are on a platform in my website. So they go in, they have to answer all these questions. And then the live coaching piece is we really talk about what are the patterns and energy that came up when you were doing the questionnaire, and we kind of really dig deep for insights. And then there are some of their blind spots that I'm able to pick up. Like I see their answers, I prepare, and I'm like, hey, did you see when you said da 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 da, like this was happening, right? And then we link it to the archetypes. So the archetypes are a way for you to use as a tool for the rest of your life about any money behavior, right? So
So is it
um,
getting just kind of have you restructure the way you're thinking about it? Okay,
exactly.
okay, okay,
Exactly.
excellent.
It's
Let
what
me,
I tell
let,
people is you're onlining your money behavior. So instead of making money decisions from a subconscious part of your brain, you're actually onlining it to your thinking brain. So you see this brand new $5,000 bag at Nordstrom's that you can't afford. Our instinct is, oh, I want that bag so bad.
mhm.
You have a way of stepping back, and it doesn't mean you don't buy it. You think about it, right? And you're like, okay, is this really going to give me pleasure, or can I use that $5,000 to go on a trip, and is that going to give me more pleasure? So it's a way to really become you start controlling how you want to spend or save, or instead of money controlling you, you start controlling your money.
Oh, okay, good. I love it. I love it. Let me say
Yeah.
hi to a couple of more folks and a couple of comments. Victoria has
Yes.
joined us. Thank you. Janelle from Fort Wayne. Hey, yes, I'm from Fort Wayne, originally Indiana. Rosie, thank you. Marsha and Victoria has a comment. Yes, finances should be an open conversation starting at the earliest age, but that is not the case due to numerous reasons. I've had some bad financial moves, but I've learned to forgive myself and learn from my mistakes. My dad always told me, respect the dollar, just don't worship it. Oh, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes.
Yes, very good. So I just had a question that came to mind. Like for a person who's listening, um, just in general, what do you think a regular, person can do who may or may not be in financial situations, is not necessarily acute, but who's very interested? How can they get started, or what should they do to take the next step to have an honest look at their finances? If they're at home, do they just come up with a spreadsheet and see where they are right now? Or what can a person do just to kind of get a better grasp of what their financial situation is like right now?
Yeah, such a good question. Thank you. Very simple things. You could just start with maybe tracking your expenses,
Oh,
right? Seeing how much money is coming in and how much is going out. And what are you spending on? And I tell people, it doesn't have to be fancy. This fancy spreadsheets, I think that just like turns people off. I'm
uh-huh.
somebody who likes to keep things very simple. It can be a notebook. Honestly, my business right now, I have a notebook. And every time I get paid by a client, I put it in my income. And when I pay for something, like I had to buy Zoom recently, I put it in my expenses. So
Uh-huh.
it does not, I have 3 pages for income and 3 pages for expenses, and that's it. So the first thing is to keep it very simple. And I think starting to pay attention, right? You know what? I think Tony Robbins says this. He says, what you focus on grows, right? Like when you start focusing on something, whether it's food, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, it becomes a part of your life, right? So maybe every night, just sit down and scribble in your book, like how much maybe something came in, if you're in a business or something like that, or even if your salary comes in, just put it in there. And then what have you spent on that day? I talk a lot about things like money leaks, for example. The less that we are touching money, I'm sure you guys have realized, it becomes almost like play money. When you
Mhm.
and it's actually designed like that. If you go back and see how debit cards and credit cards, for example, I have a website. My website developer is in Pakistan, and I
Mm.
had to pay him. I'm paying him in installments. Literally, I had to just open my phone, click a few things, and the money got transferred to Pakistan, which is
Mhm.
crazy. He
Mhm.
never sees the money, and I never see the
Yeah,
money,
you
right?
never see it. Mhm.
Right. And I remember growing up in India, my mom would actually have like bills and coins in her hand. And that made
Mhm.
her, in fact, studies have shown that if you use cash to pay for something, you end up spending something like 20 to 30% less.
Oh.
Now, just think about that one thing. If you just stopped using your credit card, let's say for 3 months, 2 months, and see how much you spend, do a before and after check. Because when we actually have to count out the money, we see, right, how many hours did you have to work to pay that $100 or $200. So
Oh,
it's
I totally get you. I totally can relate to that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, yeah,
no,
I'll
no,
just put it on
please.
my card. I'll just put it on my card. I'll get it, and then when the bill comes, I'm looking crazy. Like, what happened? You know?
Yes. Yes, and then the other
Yes.
thing is subscriptions,
Mhm.
right? People have signed up for gyms or magazines in the old days, or I mean, you can think of so many things where monthly the money is just getting taken out of your account and you're not even aware of it. I had a client who had subscribed to like supplements, right? And
Mhm.
she's in her early 70s, living on a fixed income, and she when we had this discussion, she went back and looked at her numbers, and she's canceled a bunch of the subscriptions because she's like, I haven't even finished the supplements from 6 months ago. $150 a month she saved. Yes.
I hear you. I
So
hear you.
just starting with those small things, right? Just start tracking your income, start tracking your expenses. Look to see if you have any areas where money is leaking out that you're not even aware of. It's found money, if you will.
That makes perfect sense. I can like even akin it to like a food journal. You when you're writing it down, you see you don't realize what you're eating in a day because you actually have to write it down, and it's like, oh, I'm eating more than I thought I was eating. You know what I mean? But you can actually visualize what you're doing, and so that really makes perfect sense. Just to start off basics. What are you putting in, and what are you taking out? So that's wonderful. You have any other quick tips? I know you mentioned that you have an assessment. I want to put that link in the chat as well, so people who are watching, they can go in and take a look, because we're getting ready to wrap it up. I did want to say hi to Tess, who joined us, and Mary Lou as well. So thank y'all for joining as well. We have a nice crowd tonight, so thank y'all. But how can they like either contact you or look at your quiz and get a better assessment of what they're doing right now, how they are?
Absolutely. So they can go to my website. It's www.yashodabaskarmd.com. I know it's a little, there you go. Thank you.
I
Yes.
put mine there too. Yeah, okay.
Please do. And there's on a drop down, you'll see all about the explanation about the money quiz. And then it'll just say, it's right there on the top. It'll say, take the quiz. It's a free money archetype quiz. The results do come to me, and they'll come to you as well. And if you're really curious and want to talk more about the money coaching program, maybe you're interested, I offer 30-minute free discovery calls. We can kind of talk about where you're at with your finances, where you want to be, and whether the coaching program I offer is something that will help you or not. So yeah, please feel free and go ahead and just take the quiz and get a sense of where you're at from your sort of your mental picture of where you are at with money.
That's really wonderful. And I can see how actually becoming more financially aware, even if you're not exactly where you want to be, that can actually help with your stress because you have a picture of what is actually going on in your life as far as your finances. This is what I have to work with. Okay, now I know I can go from here, or this is what I need to do, versus having everything just kind of up in the air, haphazard. You don't know what's coming in, what's going out, and you're just spending and your money is just gone and you're just like, well, what happened? So it's a matter of taking a look at your own personal finances, your own life, and how you're viewing money and what you're doing with your money. That can help you, improve how your finances are. So that's totally fair, and that's a really great point.
I
Yeah.
agree. I was definitely going to say that, but you said it beautifully, Dr. Daytrick. When you think about why something causes us stress, right? A lot of times it is because we feel like that particular thing, like you said, whether it's diet or our relationships or money or whatever, is because it feels out of control. It feels like whatever that thing is controlling us rather than us controlling it. So even just allowing that financial awareness to rise to the surface can definitely drop your stress levels because you start feeling empowered. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, you don't want to feel like a victim. I tell people, I'll take you from victim to victorious, right? And
Yes.
money, I'm not going to tell you can make $6 million in 6 weeks. Like, this is
Hmm.
not a get rich quick.
Yeah.
This is
No.
really a way of looking at things and saying, okay, taking a snapshot, where am I? How did I arrive here? And now how do I get to the next stage in my life where I can feel like I'm in control? So thank you for pointing that out. And that definitely drops stress levels.
Yes, that's excellent. Okay,
Yeah,
Victoria is saying my crazy system is breaking down each bill into weekly payments. Wow.
that's awesome.
Yes. Okay, well, I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. I think I've said hi to everybody who's in here, and I just can't thank you enough for shedding this perspective about money and mindset and how it's so important to help with your stress and help with your life. And we all want to live a good life. We all want to be able to do things and whatnot. And when money is like at the top of the list of one of our stressors, I don't feel that that's such a good thing. So being able to take an honest look at ourselves, from a financial standpoint, among other things, it's just going to help us, with our life and help us to thrive. So I hope y'all seeing the scroller down here on how you can contact Dr. Yashoda. And then, of course, you can find me at drdietrichg.com. Just go ahead and take a look at there. And we'll be seeing y'all next week for another episode of Relax Well with Dr. Dietrich, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think, is that it? You want to say any other parting words? Or are we good?
No, I just wanted to thank your audience. Thank you so much. I really do believe, especially women, we control the purse strings at home, and we should control our financial future. Is all I want to say, because we do money differently, and I think if more women can be empowered around it, it's better for the world. So I'm here to support people in any way that they feel they need support. And Dr. Daytrick, thank you again so much for having me on your show. That was
My
really fun.
pleasure. And very nice to meet you too. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
Thank y'all. Okay. See y'all next time. Bye bye.
Bye.